Hi there, welcome back to the YouTube channel. I'm back again and we're still playing around with some Phyrexia All Will Be One commanders. And today's one is kind of a repeat of a deck I've done already. So please hit the subscribe button, hit the like button down below. Leave me a comment, let me know what you think of the deck when we get to the end of this. Now, this legend I covered a while back and I really did concentrate on one aspect of it. And I think it's easier if I show the card than trying to explain it. So the card is Venser. Corpse Puppet, and what I did on the last deck tech that you would have hopefully have watched on the channel was really go down the whole let's proliferate everything, let's do the whole toxic bit of it, let's get the point, let's kill our opponents that way. Is it the best toxic deck in the world? Infect deck? Probably not. um was I happy with it? Yeah, I was happy with it. I played it a few times, I quite enjoyed playing it, but I wasn't that happy with it. But what I really want to do, as I said in the original video, is go back and revisit the other abilities it's got, where we get, obviously the Hollow Sentinel came out in the last deck, but the one I really want to concentrate on this today is the target artifact creature you control gains flying and lifelink until the end of the turn. Now, we have got some good artifacts, we have got some good ways of getting them into play, and having that whole proliferation thing going on is 90% of the challenge with this deck. So I decided to have a go at it, and I've played it a couple of times. It actually works a lot better. So this is what the deck looks like today. Sorry, just move things around. As usual, the mana base really hasn't changed from the previous deck. It's still blue and black lands. Still got Fable Passage, Field of the Dead. The usual suspects are in there. Reliquary Tower, Temple of the False God, Urborg Tomb. They're all there, so I'm not going to scroll through them all. You've seen enough of my black-blue land bases now to know what I play. But the ramp is a little bit more is more or less the same as well. I was going to say it's more interesting. It's not really. It's about the same as I do in all my decks now to keep the cost down. Mox Tantalite, Soul Talisman, Soul Ring, Talisman of Dominance, Arcane Signet, and in this one we've got a few creatures that do as well. So we've got Leaden Mere, we've got Silver Mere, we've got Alloy Mere to help us really do the ramping side of it. And if you really want to count it, Metalwork is here as well to help with the ramping as well. So we've got a fair few ways of ramping in this deck. But it is about getting artifact creatures into play and then proliferating. So we'll go through it. I mean, Memnite's an easy creature to include. I have included this over Ornithopter and some of the others 0/0 because you need the power to attack with. It's pointless having it otherwise. Preordain's here just to manipulate the top of our library. You can probably play any version of this you want to. You can play Brainstorm if you prefer, but I like Preordain for the scrying, getting through some rubbish on top, or dig if we need to. Whispers of the Dross proliferate with the -1/-1, pings off Birds of Paradise, Elves, so on and so forth. Elixir of Immortality to shuffle everything back in. And then going down the other route, Contentious Plan, we like to proliferate, so makes sense. Cyclonic Rift, it's a blue deck, it's going to control the board at some stage. Experimental Augury proliferates. Thrumming Bird proliferates when it deals combat damage, which you should be able to do with this. It's a 2-mana flyer. You can probably get through it a couple of times before something too big gets in the way. Blight Belly Rat is still in here, mainly because of the whole when it dies, it proliferates. Ooh. Not so much for the toxic ability this time, but more for the proliferation side. Likewise, Drown and Ica is in as well. Yes, it's a sorcery, but -4/-4 is pretty good. Even if it does take a while, you can only play it on your turn, and the proliferation is useful. And then Scheming Aspirant as well. We are going to be proliferating a lot. We might as well try and drain our opponents out a bit and gain some life while we're at it. Contagion Clasp is in the deck. This is one of the key proliferation tools we have in the deck. Yes, the -1/-1 counter is nice, but we're really doing it for the 4-mana tap proliferate when we get to that point where we have Venser in play and some of our artifact creatures, so we can make sure we do give them flying and lifelink on a regular basis. Leaden Mere, Silvermere I've mentioned along with Talisman, but the other artifacts in the 2-drop, Patchwork Ultimatum. We might as well have this in here. We are playing a lot of artifacts. It has got ward, which makes it difficult to deal, and if we can get at least 1+1/+1 counter on it with the amount of proliferation we can do with this deck, means it's going to get big and quick and be in the air flying over, so bear that in mind. Flux Channeler is here to make sure that we can always proliferate when we cast non-creature spells. I mean, we have got 30 non-creature spells and 33 creature spells, so hopefully we'll be able to do it regular basis. Ikamoon Gauntlet makes its first appearance in one of my decks, I believe. We have got Planeswalkers in here, and whenever you cast a non-creature spell, choose a counter on target permanent, put an additional counter of that type on that permanent. So if you have this come out and you cast a non-creature spell and you've got your Patchwork Ultimatum out, you are going to get extra +1/+1 counters that don't involve proliferation. Steady Progress, draw a card, proliferate. Mesmerizing Dose to tap down that annoying creature and get a proliferation out of it. And Muzio, Visionary Architects here. Now, we have got a lot of artifacts in the deck, and this seemed like a really good way for me to go through my deck and get an artifact I needed. And you get to put it onto the battlefield. So, if we got some of the big artifacts in play, let's hope we get some more big ones coming through. Grim Affliction, -1/-1 counter on target creature, then proliferate. That's lovely. Another way of dealing with something big with the proliferation. Alloy Mirror, I've mentioned. Chief of the Foundry, might as well pump our creatures up while we're at it. Filigree Familiar, a little bit of life gain, a little bit of card draw, but it's still a 2/2 artifact creature we can start getting in the air. Likewise, Foundry Inspector makes our artifacts cost even less. Again, it's not a bad target to proliferate onto if we want to give it flying and lifelink because it's 3/2. Paladin Mir, sorry I missed that one out, and Chief, where is it? Alloy Mir, yeah, they've got the colours coming in. And then Sword of Truth and Justice, +1/+1 counter on something and a proliferation when you hit with it. Considering the amount of white and blue decks that are around, you should be able to get through this. I've played on the stream recently 2 Urza decks in the same pod. Yeah, this would make them cry, I would imagine. So, yeah. Right, moving forward, 4 drops. Phyrexian Metamorph gets to copy an artifact. One of the targets for this is to copy Contagion Engine as well, so bear that in mind. Or, if we want to go down the other way, Contagion Clasp if need be. But, we wanted to copy that, or one of the creatures we've got coming up if need be. Tezzeret's Gambit, draw 2, proliferate. Yes, we could probably do this for 3 mana. It's not a bad 3 mana thing. And Tekulutha Inquiry Dominus is here. If we're going to proliferate once, we might as well proliferate twice, mightn't we? And give even more creatures flying up in the air. I've put as a Lord High Artificer in. We do get the construct token as an artifact when it comes into play. We can use it to tap artifacts to produce more mana, and then exile the top card of our library and play it for free. So it seemed like a reasonable include in this deck. This deck is not built around Urza at all. It's built around artifacts. Damnation gives us a bit of board control if we start getting behind. And the first of the Planeswalkers to go with our Ikamoon Gauntlet is over here. Savitri, Dragon Master. Now, you're probably wondering why this is in the deck. It's in here for the +1 ability. I'm going to be really honest about it. Until your next turn, creatures can't attack you or Planeswalkers you control unless their controller pays 2 life for each of those creatures. It probably means you don't get attacked for a while unless you're playing against someone with a life gain deck. But this just sits there, +1/+1/+1. Eventually you might hit the -7 if you need to. It's another Wrath effect. The -3 is going to be absolutely hopeless in this deck. There's no real dragons in the deck at all. But the +1, I figured it was worth including from that point of view. Now, if you haven't got Savitri, you can put Propaganda in. But I figured the life loss was more important than the mana side of it, hence why we've got Savitri. The Familiar's in, just to make everything a little bit cheaper. Artifacts, Legendaries and Sagas, so, cuts our costs down everything. And then Karn, Living Legacies here as well. The +1 for the Power Stone is fine, no issue with that. It's really, we want to get this out and proliferate it up to the -7 to get the emblem. It gives us another win condition. We can tap all our untapped artifacts we control to deal 1 damage. So all these things that at some point become completely useless as mana sources can become little pings, which is what I want to try and do with this deck. It's another way of winning the game. Anyway, Solemn Sim is here. Go and find a land. Is a creature. Dies. Gets a card. Fine by me. Inexorable Tide is one of the main reasons I've got Elixir of Immortality in here. This thing gets targeted by every single artifact, enchantment removal, going usually. And you want to get it back into play as you can because you are casting anything and you get to proliferate, which is fantastic for this deck. Tezzeret the Seeker, just to untap some artifacts. We want to get some land on the go, untap our Soul Ring, our Soul Talisman to ramp up the mana if need be. Interesting thing with this is you can do 0 and go and get Tantalite and Talisman and they come straight into place. You don't have to worry about the suspend side of it. And, at the end of it, if we need to make all artifacts 5/5 creatures and do a whole load of proliferation to win, it's possible. Vivisurgeon's Insight is just here for the draw 3 proliferate side of it. Same with Gulping Scrap Trap. When it enters the battlefield, we proliferate. When it dies, we proliferate. It's a nice, easy little thing. It's a 4/4. It's not particularly great, but it's a 4/4 creature at the end of the day. Vat Emergence, put target creature from your graveyard onto the battlefield under your control, so you can go and nick your opponent's creatures that you might have, damnationed away, and then you get to proliferate. Cunning. Steel Exemplar. This is the one I'm not sure about. I like Steel Exemplar. I've liked it a lot in Brothers War. I'm really hoping I can just pay, colourless mana or islands or black mana for this. So it does come in as a 6/6 with trample. It's a lot better when it does that. But end of the day, if it has to come as a 4/4 with trample, hopefully we'll be able to give it flying and lifelink on a regular basis to go through across the air. Kiora's Dambreaker, another way of proliferating. Seemed like a bit of a, it's not, unfortunately I wish it was a dragon, it's not, it's a Leviathan. It would have made Savitri seem a bit more sensible then, but comes into play, we can proliferate, that's fine. Same with Crusher Tentacles is also here to return all non-land permanents to their owner's hands, and hopefully we can pay the surge cost and then get a nice 8/8 blue octopus creature out of it as well. That's what I'm aiming for. Vraska, the new version of Vraska, Betrayer Sting, is also here as well. Another great way of doing the proliferation thing. Ichabod Gauntlet will do it for 0, but if you pay 0 for this one, you lose a life and draw a card as well. So, but you get to proliferate, so she soon goes up to 7. With some of the other things, hopefully we can hit 9 as soon as possible. Yes, that does mean then we can put 9 poison counters on everyone if they haven't got anything and win that way, which is a bit beardy, but it's another win condition, and it's not particularly hard to hit the 9 loyalty you need to do that with this deck. Agravian Avenger is only here because it gives us another way of doing the Death Touch thing. I'm quite happy to pay 1 mana, give it -1/-1, and give it Death Touch, especially if it's got lifelink and flying, or whatever it may be. If we can find it, do it that way. You can take this out. I was umming and ahhing about taking this out and putting in the Juggernaut Lord, but I decided against it for the time being. Contagion Engine I've mentioned, one of the best proliferation cards we've got on the deck. I've chucked in Jingatax's Progress Tyrant as well because if we can get this into play and copy some of our artifacts, it makes it so much easier to go through with things. And Sheldred, the Whispering one, I figured we might as well have this in as well. A little bit more creature control in the game. Barricade Breaker is just a big artifact. It's a 7/5 that has to attack each combat of able, and we can tap our untapped artifacts to do the whole. Your artifacts can help cast this spell. Each artifact you tap after you've done activating mana abilities pays for 1. So seems like a cunning plan to me. Nice cheap way of getting a big guy out very quickly. Memnarch is probably not a card you've seen for a while. I've chucked it in because it lets us nick artifacts, and we can turn annoying creatures into artifacts where they haven't got protection from blue and then steal them. Hopefully it'll be something that worries your opponent enough that they deal with Memnarch and leave some of the other things alone, but if they don't, you can soon take control of things. And don't forget the 3, if they've got another artifact you want to nick, 4 mana, 1 and 3, 1 blue and 3, you just take it permanently. Even when this gets destroyed, you still own that artifact until the person leaves, so bear that in mind. Mir Battlefield's one of the big creatures we're trying to get out, just so we can get the Mir tokens and tap the Mirs and give it +X/+X. If you give it flying and lifelink, it's going to be even better. Just scrolling across. Spotothopter. You can pay it for the 4 mana and get the prototype version and do a little scry, or you can pay it for the 8 mana and do the big scry version. So it's depending on you, but it's still an artifact creature, so yeah. Black Sun Zenith, reusable board control. We can chuck the 2 black and 1, puts all the -1/-1 counters around, and then but with our proliferation we can proliferate everyone else's creatures apart from our own. So yeah, seems like a plan to me. And obviously a really good target for proliferation is Hangerback Walker. If we could just pay this one and start proliferating it away so we can get a whole load of Thopters when it dies, is fantastic. The last 2 are probably ones you were expecting to see at some stage. Dark Steel and Blightsteel Colossus respectively. are the ultimate targets. Well, Blightsteel is the ultimate target for Venser, and Darksteel's not far behind it from my point of view. Obviously, 11 mana getting him into play, but you know we've got things that reduce the cost. We've got Metalworker, we've got Foundry Inspector to make him a little bit cheaper. So hopefully we'll be able to do that with him and get them out early and then proliferate them for the win. But that's it. That is my slightly different take on Venser Corpse Puppet. Let me know down below in the comments what you think. Anything you think I've missed creature wise or artifact wise, please again let me know. I can always happily, say I'm wrong and correct it. But thanks for watching. I really hope you've hit the subscribe button. We're sitting at 144 as I record this, so I'd like to start getting that up a bit more if we can. So thank you for watching. Take care, and I'll see you in the next video. Have a good one. Bye.